We've been talking a little bit too much about kits this week. I think maybe we should take a break for a second, build a nice base game house, none of this pack content, no more kit discussions, just a reasonable, pretty build that everybody can download and doesn't cost $1 million real life dollars. So the plan today is to make a sort of Victorian inspired house here in Willow Creek. I'm actually making this directly across the street from the Goth family's house, although this build maybe could not be any more different from the Goth house. The Goth family's house is like all black and red. It's very dark. It's kind of creepy a little bit, but it's really fancy in there. This house is like very pastel. It's bright colors. There's like lots of yellow everywhere. There's sunflowers everywhere. It's nice, but I wouldn't really say that it's fancy. It's definitely like a family sort of home. Unfortunately, it does end up being really expensive, but expensive in simoleons. It's still a base game house. So you're gonna need cheats probably if you wanted to download this and play in this lot, but at least you won't need to spend any real life money, right? Honestly, the Sims 4 base game has come such a long way since it came out. It was like a completely different game back in 2014, but especially in the last couple of years, they have really stepped up their game with base game content. We've gotten a lot more updates, and also the updates are like better quality, which sounds weird because I don't think that the other stuff is like poor quality, but the other stuff just isn't as like cute and trendy, I guess. Even in just the past couple of months, we got 2 new beds, we got all of that Pride stuff, we got a new kitchen set, we got like so many new things this year alone, and it's only May. Like, the year is just getting started. So I didn't really even struggle when it came to furnishing and decorating this house because I felt like we had so much to use, and even stuff that is new. The whole thing was kind of inspired a little bit by the new kitchen set because there's that really beautiful pastel yellow swatch on the kitchen set that I wanted to use in here, and then we painted all the walls pastel yellow to match. But we'll get into the inside in a little bit. First, we're kind of trying to figure out the exterior shape of this place. The main thing obviously is that big fancy wraparound porch. That's kind of like the highlight of the building. So we have that fancy wraparound porch, and we also have a tower in the front of the lot. And then in the back here, I put this kind of cute like sunroom type of shape. That's what that weird bump out in the back is going to eventually become. The columns that I'm using on this porch, I never ever used to use because those columns never had a solid white swatch. Same as the spandrel that I'm using. That has been in the base game since the game first came out, but it used to only have colorful swatches. It would be like white with pink, white with yellow, white with green, white with blue. They had a bunch of like funky colors, but they didn't have any just plain white variants for some reason. So I didn't really ever use it because it was kind of hard to match into things, especially because you get sort of stuck in a box because now you've got like that shade of blue being used, and if nothing else matches it, then it's like kind of difficult to fit in. So these really weren't my most used columns, but in this build, we finally got to try and use them in a solid white color, and I think it looks so pretty. We're gonna have like all of the white trim out there and then yellow wallpaper on the exterior. I also obviously used the matching windows and stuff that go with this set, and you'll see later on that I tried to do it in a color. I like tested out using the yellow swatch of all this stuff. There is a yellow swatch of this column set and everything, and it has a matching window, but it's not really yellow. It's kind of beige. It's like a really, really, really light yellow, but you have to have it in the right context, otherwise it looks like it's just beige, brown. So I tried that, but then when I had the yellow wallpaper, it didn't look yellow, it looked brown against the yellow wallpaper, so I got rid of it. But I was having so much trouble with that when I was trying to do the color swatches, because if you've built with the base game for any amount of time, you probably know this, but there's 2 different sets of base game windows that have shutters to them. It might look to you like it's just one set of base game windows, but there actually are 2 sets, and you can tell the difference because they don't have all the same swatches. They have mostly the same swatches, but not all of the same swatches. So they'll have like different shades of blue and green on them, and then you want to use them and kind of like mix and match them, but you can't because the swatches aren't all the same. So I had that like yellowy beige color I was putting it everywhere, but not all of the windows have that color. Just some of the windows have that color, and I was getting so mad about it. That's almost like the biggest reason why I went back to it just being white, because I couldn't deal with it. I was so angry about the lack of swatches. So I'll praise the base game, but I won't praise the base game too much because it's definitely still lacking in some ways. Right now though, we just have those plain windows. I'm kind of just trying to figure out where to put the windows at this point of the video. I'm trying to go around and figure out like what kind of windows I want, where are they gonna go, how many are we gonna put, and I was struggling a lot with the windows on the second floor, especially because it's kind of a small space in between the bump out and the tower. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to put in that little tiny tiny area, so I kept changing my mind. I always feel kind of bad about this because I build these things live always on my Twitch channel, which, by the way, we are doing a huge fundraiser right now for the entire month of May for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We do this every year in May, raising money for St. Jude, and we kind of just started the fundraiser this year. I've got some big stuff going on. Like, I just started playing a brand new Legacy challenge, and I wrote all new rules for a new challenge that we're starting. We're gonna play it again tonight on stream. We're gonna build some shell challenges. Like, we have so many fun ideas for the whole month. A lot of Sims content over there live. I'll link my Twitch channel and also our fundraiser page down below in case you want to donate or get involved or even just come hang out with us. But anyway, what I was trying to say is I always feel a bit bad when I watch this stuff back and I watch my indecisiveness, because I know that, like, when you watch the speed build, it's just a couple minutes. But if you watch this live, I'm like, guys, I'm gonna use this window. No, actually, I'm not. And then I go back and forth for so long, like way too long. It's probably really annoying. I think I build pretty quickly in The Sims 4, but I have these moments where I get like so picky for no reason. And that front window section, that was the time that I was being really picky in this house. I've also at this point done the floor plan of the house, but I'll kind of walk you through it a little bit more once we're properly inside furnishing. It's hard to explain that stuff at this point of the build where we're just like adding details to the outside. I'm going through and adding things like some little roof details. I put some planter boxes in the front windows, and now we're gonna go in and do the landscaping. So as per usual with landscaping in The Sims 4, the first thing I did was go through and put the bushes. It always looks a little bit strange at first. It's like, trust the process, you know? But the first thing I did was go through and put all of those low-lying bushes down. That's kind of like to mark out where I want all the plants to be. I also got some of those big, longer bushes to put on the side yards, and now we're gonna go through and put like a smaller green bush in the middle, just in a few places. Then I'll pick some flowers, put those in a few places, maybe a different kind of flower, put those in a few places. This is just how I tend to landscape. I'll kind of pick like one type of plant at a time, and I'll layer them all in that way. It does make it look really weird when you're like zoomed out looking at it from afar, but it does eventually come together. It just takes a second to get to that point. And instead of finishing the landscaping, this is when I had that brief attempt at using the beige windows. You can see what I mean, how they look kind of yellow. It's like a very light yellow, but the problem is like the windows on the bottom of that tower, those don't come in the same color. The door, not in the same color. So it just, like, I couldn't use it long term. It didn't work out. I wanted to so bad, but it didn't work out. They've given us a lot of swatch updates for the base game in the past couple years, but what I would really like to see is another big swatch update with loads more pastels. So much of the Sims 4 base game is really vibrant. It's like very 2014 era, and you can picture it. Like, picture the base game couch, that cheapest base game couch, and all the colors that it comes in. It's got like those super neon, really bold, very saturated colors. That's not really the vibe anymore. Like I think the world has moved on. We're in more of like a pastel, softer color era, and a lot of the pack content reflects that, but the base game still doesn't that well. I need some more pastel window swatches. What I really need is more pastel wall paneling. If they gave me another like 2 to 3 wallpapers that are like outdoor paneling, that would make my life. It would be so much easier just with that base game paneling and like a bunch more swatches or something. Because I love this paneling, but I've used it so many times at this point that like now it's all getting kind of old. And also like the swatches just, they're not quite there. I need like a few different shades of green, a few different shades of pink. I need some more, dare I say, some more shades of blue. I know, blue suburban, whatever. But like, we just need some more color options. We also need some more like, almost like more neutral colors, because we have one swatch that is white, but if we had a few more like light white colors, gray colors, some more creamy colors, and even more importantly, roofs. I've said it a million times, so I'm sorry to repeat myself, but I'm gonna say it again. We need more roof textures. We don't have a lot of like normal looking roof colors. I feel like so often in real life a roof is brown, but we barely have any brown swatches for roofs in the game. If they went through and gave me like 3 more swatches for every single roof category, it would like completely change everything. And don't even get me started on rugs. I still need some more rugs and some more bed swatches, but that's like my dream update. If they were gonna do a big base game update with like loads more swatches again, the number one thing for me is beds. I know I just got done talking about everything else, but beds are number one. roofs are number 2, rugs number 3, and then some more wallpaper colors. That's what I really need. I used to say kitchen sets, like if we got a big swatch update for the kitchens, but now that we have this new base game kitchen, it's not completely appeased me, but it's definitely helped a little bit. Now, this kitchen location, I was being so annoying about this. So every time a kitchen has like a 2-tile wide space in front of a window, like when it's 4 tiles wide like this, I always have this problem because my dream is to center the sink in front of the window. And there's a couple ways that you can do that when it's in a weird space like this. I could just move the window, right? But that looks bad from the outside, so I don't want to do that. I could have the sink just be off center, but that looks kind of weird too. You could just put the sink somewhere else, which is what I did in this space. Or, and sometimes this works, you can put a counter centered in the window and then use those little end piece counters on either side. It's not a great idea because you're trying to basically put 3 counters in the space of 2, so you get a lot of clipping. I just did it a second ago, which you might have seen. And certain counters are better for that than others, and certain swatches are better than that for others because you're always gonna see some clipping. And when this stuff clips in The Sims 4, it kind of like flickers a little bit because you've got like these 2 counters on top of each other, so they're like flickering in between the 2 layers, and that can be like very distracting and annoying to look at. I think often when the counter is a darker color, like the dark black countertops usually hide it a bit more. In this case, because it was so light, it was really obvious, so I ended up not using it, but I was complaining about it so much. I was just going on and on about how annoyed I was about this because I tried like 4 different things to fix it, but it's not a big deal. It ends up looking fine. And then that tile that I used in the kitchen, that's actually from that most recent like Sims 4 birthday event that they did. It's not available anymore, but if you redeemed that during the event, you'll have access to it. If you don't have that and you like download the lot off the gallery, I would just put any base game tile there or like use the wood floors there again or something. I always feel a bit bad using those event reward things in here, but also I haven't used that tile yet really in a build, and I made a whole big deal about it when they first announced it and when it first came out, and then I never really used it. So I wanted to try it in this space. And then right next to the kitchen, we have that sunroom that I was telling you about, and I turned the sunroom into a really fancy dining room. This is where we kind of enter blue suburban territory just a little bit, but that's because so much of the base game comes in this light blue color, and the light blue also looks really nice with the yellow walls. So I did that. For a time, I was trying to use those chairs because that's like a really fancy version of the chair, and I never ever use it because it only has 3 colors, that chair, for some reason. So it's just not one that I pick up very often. But then some people in my Twitch chat were like, oh my gosh, Kayla, you should use that like wheelbarrow looking thing with the flowers in this room, because I also never use that. And I was struggling with it because it felt like there was a real disconnect between the fancy chairs and then this kind of like farm looking rustic flower display. So I kept going back and forth on it. Right now I've just left it because I was like, okay, listen, we're gonna let it sit there and we're gonna come back to it in like 5 minutes, because that helps me sometimes with builds, because I could sit there and worry about the chairs for like 20 minutes in real life, and I was like, no, we can't do this. We can't go down that road. I'm just gonna look away for a minute and then come back. And when I did that, I looked away, I came back, ended up using different base game chairs instead. I thought it looked kind of better in there. I still don't love the flower table thing that's in there. I feel like the swatches are kind of bad, and it also only has 3 swatches for some reason. They're all kind of dark, but not dark in color. It's like it's trying to be a light color, but it looks dark because they did a bad job picking out the swatch, or like the texture's weird, or there's just something off about that item. But I wanted to try it because I don't even remember when I last used that in a build, to be honest. It's been so long, so I was trying to give it a real solid attempt. The last room downstairs is this big living room, which is kind of a weird shape because it has like that little nook in the back corner. So a lot of people in my Twitch chat wanted me to put a piano back there, and I was so sad to have to be like, I'm so sorry, but this isn't gonna work, because like the actual area is really small and the grand pianos are so big, like it just doesn't fit. I think this house would really have benefited from one of those vertical like standing pianos, the upright pianos, but we just don't have one of those in the base game. So instead I put a little chess table back there, and I used the chairs that I had wanted to use but couldn't use in the other room. And I kind of like a little games nook. I think it's kind of nice back there. We also have a fireplace and a TV above it. We've got some really cute fancy couches in here. And then behind that fireplace, I have 1 bathroom downstairs. In total, I think it's just a 2-bathroom house. I'm pretty sure it's 2 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms, but there's also a really weird like space attic, which sounds so strange to say out loud, but you'll see once we get up top. It is a 3-story house, and the 3rd story I kind of like, I don't know, it got a little bit wacky up there. I just think that sometimes you need that. Like sometimes you need a room to shove all the weird skill building stuff. I've said it a million times in speed builds like this, but there's so many weird giant skill things in the base game, and where are you supposed to put them? In the attic, in this case. So this house has an observatory outside, and it also has the giant microscope upstairs in the attic. But again, we'll get to that. I did struggle with this room a little bit because I wasn't sure what to put underneath this window. I really wanted to have a music player in here, and I've said this before in speed builds too, but the music players all have the most annoying slots. So I ended up putting it on this little tiny table, and it looks kind of bad. It's like puny and weak, that table that it's on. But at least it's functional, because if you use move objects to like raise it up with like what I'm doing right here with the shelves, the music players don't work quite right. So I wanted it to be slotted appropriately, and then it doesn't look that good. So it's a balance. It's a balance, but I just left it on the tiny table, and hopefully it's fine like that. These shelves just have some cutesy clutter. You can't even use those bookshelves, I don't think, but they at least look kind of nice. And there are other bookshelves in the house, so you don't really need them. And then moving upstairs, this first room is a really teeny tiny bedroom. It's obviously very small. This could have been just a bathroom, but I wanted to have a 3rd bedroom in the house, so I turned it into like a really tiny nursery with a crib and everything. It's got like a crib, a bear, and a little dresser, essentially. It's not got a ton going on. When this child grows up, it'll be very sad how little space they have in here, but it'll do. You could also potentially drag it out and make it like 1 tile bigger, but I have this weird thing about hating doors being in the corner of walls. So if the hallway was only 2 tiles wide, I would have been really mad, but it can be expanded. Then inside this next room, it's kind of like the nicest room in the house, but it's not even the primary bedroom. This one is gonna be a teen's room, and this teen is so lucky because they have like that really fancy tower in their bedroom. I made that into like a super cute little desk reading nook space. And I got a lot of questions about this wallpaper in my Twitch chat as well. I'm sorry to keep mentioning Twitch. It's just hard because I can't like predict your comments, you know? Like I can't say like, oh, I got a lot of comments about this wallpaper because I haven't posted the video yet. But considering a lot of people in the Twitch chat asked about it, I can only assume that people on YouTube probably will too. This is a base game wallpaper. It's been in the base game forever too, but the default swatch is kind of ugly. So you might not have seen it before. The default swatch is like orange and brown, but it has one nice pastel blue swatch. And that's what I used in this room, and I just used the pastel blue flower bed and like the little rug and stuff. I would live in this room in real life. This is like my actual genuine real life taste. I really like the vibes of this space. I'm kind of jealous of this sim getting to have this area. It's so pretty in here. Could you imagine like being a teenager and this being your bedroom? Or like if this was your friend's room? This kind of feels like something out of a movie to me. Because in like those Disney Channel originals, they always had the nicest bedrooms, like the fanciest, coolest setups. I used to be so jealous of Teddy Duncan on Good Luck Charlie because she had that like platform thing in her basement bedroom for her bed. That's the kind of vibe that teen's room gives off. Just like really fancy TV sort of bedroom. But anyway, this last room that we're doing up here is actually, there's 4 bedrooms. I lied. This is the kids' room. I forgot about this one completely. So it's 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, but this is a kid's room. I decorated it with just child stuff. They have lots of toys in here. It kind of has like a green and blue and ladybug color scheme. And I tried to make sure we had a lot of skill building things in here, like the artist table. We've got like the little violin. And for some reason, this kid is the one that gets the balcony, but I put some more toys on the balcony. Like I used the little science table out there. I figured honestly to have the science table outside makes sense because if it catches fire, at least it's outside, and it probably will catch fire because it's The Sims 4. So we'll add that on a little bit later. And it also makes sense to have, because like The Sims parents are probably scientists because they've got all the sciencey stuff. So like everybody in the family loves the science, logic, all those sorts of skills. And then this last bedroom is the primary bedroom finally. This one's gonna belong to the adults of the household. And I used that sunflower bed. That bed was kind of the inspo for the entire house. I've got loads of sunflowers in the garden outside that I put, and then we have this bed. This one is also base game, and also I get a lot of questions about this all the time. This is actually a reward bed from the artist career. It only has 3 swatches, and I think it's like level 7 or 8 of the artist career, but you'll unlock this bed if you're playing in it. There's one that's like a solid plain red bedspread, and then the other one is like Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. So it's like literally an artist bed inspired by real life famous paintings. This bed is actually probably a really good candidate for a swatch update, because if you remember, they did that big swatch update on that tech guru career couch and chair. And we just got that like 3 months ago, but same thing. That item used to only have like 3 swatches, and then they went back and gave us all the same like regular base game swatches to match the other base game couch. It'd be nice if they went and updated that bed to have just a bunch of solid color swatches. If it had like a plain blue bedspread, a plain white one, plain green, plain yellow, it would be so useful because it's such a bed looking bed. It's so normal, and it's hard to use right now because it only has the 3 colors and 2 of them are very patterned. And you can't always fit in Starry Night in your Sims house. But anyway, that's the whole interior done. So we're back on the exterior now. The last thing we're doing is trying to go through and put like clutter on the porch. We're gonna put stuff in the backyard. And I started on the porch by putting some little planters down. I got an extra chess table. I got an easel in the corner of the porch. I essentially use these porches as like an extension of the house and just a way to have as much skill building stuff as I possibly can. I don't always think it looks that good because it ends up looking kind of busy, but I know that it's very useful. And like the grill's kind of tucked away back there. There's tables tucked away back there. I got a telescope on the balcony upstairs. We also have a few planter boxes on the side of the lot, which as of right now, when I'm recording this, are still bugged. There's like a weird issue with the large planter boxes where you can't quite use them right. Like your Sims don't want to water them, but I still like the look of them, so I want to keep placing them down. But there's always a new gardening bug in this game. It's literally nonstop. Okay, and this last room upstairs, I'm like jumping back into the attic again. This is where I'm gonna put all that sciencey stuff. So the main thing was that I put that big microscope item, and that kind of takes up the entire room. But I also put a bookshelf and like a desk with a computer up here. I was thinking if you had Get to Work, you could probably use like a couple of those little sciencey like potion maker things if you wanted to. I also put the element collection up here. And this house honestly would be really good for the yellow generation of Not So Berry. I didn't really build it that way on purpose. It kind of just happened. And I put an observatory in the back instead of a rocket ship, but it's got like everything you would need for that Not So Berry challenge generation, because the yellow gen of Not So Berry is like all themed around being an astronaut. And speaking of Not So Berry, that's a legacy challenge that I wrote back in 2017 with my friend Zoe, and I literally just finished making sort of like a, I don't want to call it a sequel to Not So Berry because it's I guess just like a play on Not So Berry, but like a new version. I'm calling it the Very Veggie Legacy Challenge. It's like Not So Berry, but the complete opposite. Kind of is like a goofy thing to do on stream. It's literally a 10 generation vegetable themed legacy challenge. It is so ridiculous. But if you want to play it, I'll link the rules down below. I'm not like formally announcing it on YouTube yet and like making a video about it yet because I'm not quite done with it. Like it's done, I've written the rules and everything, but I haven't play tested it yet or like played through the full thing yet. So I'm kind of reserving the right to change stuff after I've played it, because what if one of them's like not a fun generation, or if I want to add something, you know? So we're kind of in like a beta testing phase of this legacy, but I'll link it for you if you want to look at it. I'm currently playing that over on my Twitch channel right now, like I had mentioned earlier, and I'll probably make some big videos about it for YouTube once I finish playing through it at least once. But with that, we have finished the speed build, so I want to pop back into the game and give you a tour of the finished product. I know that happened very fast, so it's kind of hard to follow at times. Okay, so I built this over here across the street from the Goths, and if you're looking for it on the gallery, it's called Sunflower House. As you can see, it uses no pack content, but it does cost like 150,000 simoleons. Oh my god, that is horrifying. Then this is what it looks like on the exterior. Honestly, I think that it's so cute. I just love this style of house. I love the colors. I like the bubbly looking columns. Here's kind of an overview of the side of the building and what the back kind of looks like. And then we can go look inside and I'll show you around. So you're gonna come up this way and walk up the little front porch, and you kind of enter into like a small entryway room. I've got things like a burglar alarm and a coat rack. There's a fancy clock. We also have the downstairs bathroom right off of this hallway. It's pretty simple, but it's nice and central in the house, so it's easy to get to. If you go forward, you'll get into the kitchen in here. It's not a very big kitchen, but it's got plenty of space for cooking. I did spend some time thinking about adding in an island, or like maybe trying to have like a peninsula with counters right here, but it just felt too tight, so I didn't do it. You can go forward from the kitchen into the dining room, and I really like the big windows in this room. I think it's pretty nice. They also have access to the patio through this little door right here. And then you can come this way onto the side of the house. This is where the living room is. So here's kind of a top-down view. We have that weird music player that I was telling you about that I wasn't so sure about. Then we have a nice comfy living room, and then we have this kind of cute little nook for games. This room is kind of a weird shape, so I was trying my best to use it up appropriately. And then if you go upstairs back into that entry room, there's like a little hallway up here. We have a second bathroom upstairs. This one's kind of a pink color theme. Then we also have this sort of pink little infant's room in this area. There's not a lot to see in here. It's pretty small. Across the hall, we have the little kids room with all their toys and things. And they have a balcony that's full of toys. This kid is very lucky. They've got toys outside. They've got the science table. They have a telescope. I think they have to share this balcony, but they definitely take advantage of it being attached to their room. In the front of the house, we have that teens room that I genuinely am obsessed with and so jealous of. And I turned the second story of the tower into like a little office nook, I guess. So they have their computer over there. The primary bedroom also has a computer, and it's kind of got this cute yellow color theme, and they have a bonsai tree so they can do the flower arranging skill, all that stuff. And then through here, we have like a totally not suspicious bookcase on the wall, which is actually a bookcase door. If you go in there, you can get into this like weird little lab space. I tried to make it look kind of modern and like almost kind of sterile in this room. I felt it was more sciencey that way, but they have like some sciencey movie posters. They got an extra computer. They have the microscope. God, this thing is so hard to use. Why is it so big? And then that third story of the tower, I just left it blank because I didn't really like how it looked when it was open like this with the windows. So it's just like a secret empty room on the top floor. On the porch, I do have like a very fancy fire system. They have an extra chess table. This is that easel I was telling you about. And then around the side, we've got a small dining table and also a grill up here. And in the way back, we have loads more planter boxes. I put like some little gardening clutter. And we also have a bigger dining table, the observatory, which is right here, and then like a little kids monkey bar set. So that is kind of the finished product. Couple weird little quirks in this build, but overall, hopefully a pretty useful building for you. You could also swap this out, like if your sim has a different skill they're working on, you could put the cupcake machine up here or like whatever sort of skill they need. It could be an art studio, you know, whatever your sim's doing. So hopefully you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments if you download this house or if you play in it, and make sure you pop by my Twitch streams at some point this month. Even if you're not gonna donate, I understand it's like a very hard time for everybody right now. It's not really feasible for most people, so please don't worry about that. But honestly, just to come hang out, it's gonna be a good time, and it's fun that it's live. There's like something kind of special about a live event, so I think you'll enjoy it. But I'll stop plugging everything now. I'm gonna wrap the video up right here. Thank you for watching, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye, everybody. I think yellow is my favorite color. It always has been. I've kind of changed my mind a little bit from time to time as an adult and like as a teen, but it's always been yellow. My first email address was Kayla Yellow when I was a kid.